Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. This is such an exciting opportunity. In taking over the helm of the Brown School, one of the things that I have talked about is how recent events over the last 5 years, including the pandemic, various global affairs related to international conflict, global warming, have all laid to bear how inadequate our social safety net is, both domestically and internationally. And that I want to see the Brown School take a leadership role in addressing that by being on the forefront of the creation of what I'm calling the new social contract. What does society owe the individual, and what does the individual owe society? I think this conversation today is foundational to the advancing of that area of science and social justice. Particularly the use of the child development accounts, the CDAs. This policy aligns and really is born from so much work at the Brown School and our vision for the future. But there are some really key aspects of CDAs that I think are vital to highlight here. First, CDAs have a long-term vision, and that is the problems with our social safety net require long-term solutions. We have for too long used brief interventions to patch up our networks. So the use of these CDAs is a long-term investment in the future, and it is fantastic to be seeing that happening globally. CDAs are also a collective provision where governments demonstrate their commitment by providing an annual deposit to children. And then families meet that by contributing as well. And so that is a collective investment in the next generation. CDAs also address systemic inequalities by fixing broken systems that allow us to invest in children and narrow wealth disparities. We know that creating intergenerational wealth is one of the key aspects of success for future generations. And finally, these CDAs promote interconnectedness by connecting government, family, and communities together and building children's social and economic futures. This is a vital intervention that is relevant today, and I expect will be relevant for many generations to come. I am thrilled to partner with the Eurasian National University on this project and to co-sponsor this visit. Because I believe this is a testament to the Brown School's commitment not only to share the learnings that happen at the Brown School, but to also learn from our global partners on the great advances that they are making that we can also try to implement, both here in St. Louis, but also nationally. So welcome to our guests. I hope you all enjoy this amazing presentation, and thank you to everyone at the Center for Social Development for making this possible.
Thank you very much, Dean Trump. So our panel today focuses on a groundbreaking policy initiative from Kazakhstan, and it's called the National Fund for Children. The National Fund for Children is a child development account policy that is funded by revenues from the Kazakhstan's very abundant natural resources. This program was launched in early this year, January 2024, and it's already shaping how we are thinking about child development accounts, and particularly in nations that are blessed with natural resources wealth. The link between the natural resources revenue and the child development is a significant innovation in directly investing a nation's wealth into its future. And it also opens new possibilities for sustainable and long-term social investment. Our mission today is to think critically about how Kazakhstan's innovation can be adapted to other contexts and to create more equitable and sustainable social policies worldwide. And here to lead us in this is our distinguished panel of experts in social work, law, and public policy from Kazakhstan and the US. I will introduce them one at a time as we begin the discussion with 5 minutes, our perspective from each of them. And here to lead us off is our very own from CSD, Center for Social Development, Research Assistant Professor, Professor Aytakin Huseynli. Professor Huseynli is an expert in social policy and the asset building initiative in resource-rich countries. Please welcome Professor Huseynli, who will now take 5 minutes of her time to provide some broad context for our discussion. Welcome.
Hi everyone, it's nice to be here today and honored to have this present in front of you today with in front of our colleagues from Kazakhstan as well. I have 5 minutes. I probably pat myself on my back if I can summarize my research in 5 minutes. So natural resources and social development. I will start with motto, which is called Black Gold into Human Gold, which before my PhD studies, we as a youth in Azerbaijan had this movement, being oil and gas rich countries. We saw we have a lot of money coming from natural resources and which is not used for the well-being of people most of the time. We started a movement which said that black gold into human gold means that using this natural resource money for the human capital development, not in parallel to other investments as well. So why? Because we have about 83 countries on the earth with oil, gas, and mineral resources. I just want to make a distinguish here between the different natural resources and specifically highlight the oil, gas, and minerals, because as we talk about natural resources, it might include water, fishery, forest, but my research, and here we're today talking specifically about fossil fuels or extractive resources and another synonym for this. About 83 countries of them on the earth, which has oil, gas, and minerals, but only about 12 or 13 of them were able to develop their economy that they don't depend on natural resources. They have developed other sectors in the society and they don't suffer from resource dependency. Just in 2023, the income revenue coming from the dividends of the oil, gas, and minerals were about 4 trillion. It's a huge amount of resources we have on the globe, but about 70 low to middle income countries out of 83 are still struggling in terms of human development, in terms of general economic development. And if you can imagine, about half of the world population, about 3 billion population, live in these countries which have massive amount of the financial resources coming from the dividends, revenues, or rents of the oil, gas, and minerals. But these countries are facing huge challenges, which is well documented in global literature, which is called resource curse, which has signs such as unbalanced growth, resource dependency, and which really related to the field of social development and social work, social policy. But since 1970s, international community suggested an intervention in the form of sovereign wealth funds to help these countries to combat these challenges. But there are about 57 sovereign funds on the earth, and in 2015 there was an evaluation of them. Only 10 of those sovereign funds were working to achieve their mission. The rest of the funds in about 57 countries, about 47 countries, those money in sovereign funds were used by political and economic elites for their own wishes, like buying jets for themselves, throwing international parties. They were not used for the well-being of the people. And for the last 2 decades, there's a huge movement on global community saying that sovereign funds are a black box for people, citizens. They don't know what's happening there because only politicians have the access. Instead of doing that, since the oil, gas, and mineral resources are people's resources, let's just give the money to people. Just give them coming money instead of putting in a huge sovereign fund. Let's give this money back to people and citizens, which they have right to it, and they can use it for their own improving their well-being. But as another movement we wanted to start as Center for Social Development as a part of my dissertation or research, we are saying that, or I'm saying that, instead of giving it as a cash to people, let's give it as an asset building policy to people, open an asset building such as child development accounts or individual development accounts for people where this money can be saved and invested in either improving their education, housing, or startup. So we have been working on this idea, merging asset building policies and natural resources. We have been working in our region since 5-6 years, and part of my work dissertation, I had a chance to be in Kazakhstan, talk to politicians, and where I met Dinara Yessimova. She will have a talk, which is the delegation of the Kazakhstan today, head of the delegation Kazakhstan today. So in 2024, Kazakhstan decided to open child development accounts for every child and allocate 50% of their national fund for children. And my colleague now, Muslim, member of the delegation, will talk about the policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Aytakin. Our next presenter is Muslim Kasanov, Professor of Law at Maksuk Narxoz University in Kazakhstan. Among many professional roles, Professor Kasanov also serves as a member on the National Commission for Women Affairs and the Family and the Demographic Policy under the President of Kazakhstan. Without further ado, Muslim.
Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. We are very happy to be here and to share with you the experience of Kazakhstan in development of child development account. In my short presentation, I will briefly outline the most important insights on the CDA implementation in Kazakhstan. The starting point for the national policy is 2022, which was declared as Children Year, and at the same year, the President of Kazakhstan announced the initiative of the National Fund for Children. It's a brand new program of investment to social capital from the national resources income. As the President said, every family should receive tangible benefits from the use of the country's national wealth. 1 year later, in November 2023, this program was legitimated by the special law. The policy implementation started since January the 1st this year, and first $100 was deposited to accounts of about 7 million children in Kazakhstan. And 50% of the annual income of the national fund are deposited to special savings account of all children this year. Deposits will be saved until children the age of 18 without the right for early withdrawal. There are only two ways to use these funds: purchase of housing or obtaining education. The estimated amount of savings per child by the age of 18 could be around $3,500. And this is updated information on the current implementation of the program, because all children reached the age of 18 this year already obtained this money. And here you can see that $1.3 million were already deposited to the accounts of 13,000 children. And here you can see that about 50% used for education and for housing. And let me tell you about some legal and technical details. The first detail is that you don't need to do anything. For example, to make an application, accounts are opened automatically for every child. And all these funds are exempted from taxation and protected from arrests and other compulsory measures. The money is transferred in US dollars, in the currency, and is kept in the tariff account for 10 years. So you don't need to use it immediately after you reach 18 years. You can use it within 10 years or even later, but within 10 years it will be safe in these accounts, and of course the percentage, some interest also will increase these funds. And this is some brief information. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Musun. Our next presenter is Zhanar Abdykalykova, and Zhanar is the director of Almaty Regional Office of the National Alliance of Professional Social Workers of Kazakhstan. In addition, she serves as a senior lecturer at the Narxoz University, and she will talk about the social development strategy from the national policy perspective. Thank you, sir, so much. Welcome.
Hello everybody, thank you for being here. I would like to give you some short insight into the Kazakhstan social development strategy and how it combines with the National Fund for Children policy, the Child Development Account. Doesn't change. Okay, here you can see some information about Kazakhstan social development strategy. This strategy aims to create inclusive and equitable society, and there are several pillars which is this strategy is based on. First of all, it is poverty reduction. This is helping everybody, especially children, not to face poverty in their future. The second is human capital investment. So, as we tell, human capital is the new oil. So, to increase investment in developing human capital. And also, the very important topic is financial stability in education, to educate in, to finance education in our country, to develop human capital, to provide children to have education, to set focus on being on getting education. The next pillars are social protection and inclusion. We have different policies like a national plan to support disabled people. We have a social code in the country, and nowadays our state declared to be social state and invests a lot in social development, and the CDA account is one of the examples of this. And very important topic is fair distribution of national wealth. As you know, Kazakhstan is very rich on natural resources, and it is a very important issue in our country that all the population has gains from the money which is coming into the country from selling the natural resources, and so we can invest in future education and development. And here on this slide you can see the role of the National Fund for Children in Kazakhstan social strategy. You see where it complies with each other. So the National Fund for Children will be used for improving well-being of future generation, reduce child poverty, long-term investment in human capital, as it can be used only for two directions, yes, for education, housing, and supporting families and ensuring equal opportunities. And it is part of the strategy of fair distribution of national wealth. And the role of the National Fund for Children in Kazakhstan is it touches at least three areas of the social development strategy of Kazakhstan. This is human capital development, investment in education, and fair distribution of natural resource wealth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zhanar. Our final speaker is Dr. Dinara Yessimova. Professor Yessimova is the professor of social work at the Eurasian National University in Kazakhstan. She is also the executive director of National Alliance of Professional Social Work in Kazakhstan. So if we're talking about the social worker in Kazakhstan, here we go.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lee. And first of all, let me say hello for everyone. I came from Kazakhstan. It's very far away from USA. It took even almost 2 days to come here. Yeah, and I'm glad to be here and proud to be here because I have been in Brown School 15 years ago, and during my PhD here, in my country, because I got PhD in my country. And proud to represent now social work from Kazakhstan, and I also want to learn from you a lot of things what we shall do in social work development. And the title of topic is Role of Social Workers in Implementing National Fund of Children, and why it's called like that, because yesterday we have a very great talk with Professor Michael Shedden during morning, and it was very big, big conceptual discussion about concept, what is social welfare and what is social development. Yeah, because, for example, for which one social work related to social welfare or social development, because it's like, for some people it's a two different story, but for social worker it's equal one, yeah. And what we are trying to say in my presentation that how it's, I'm okay, I'm doing well. And for example, for social work, you know that we have a social work like profession, like education, and tourism, three pillars, and the third one, practice work. And it's running from the injury in my country, practice work, and now it mostly not educated people like parasocial work, and is raising the question how many schools we have, because it's like again, sometimes separate stories. There is a school, there is a practice, and we have at least 12 universities and they're teaching social work. But what kind of challenge we have that, like here I mentioned that department schools and like even I mentioned Brown schools, even universities of social work is still challenging, and this is why we established National Association School of Social Work, and I'm also currently president of this National Association. We have just history of 2 years, but we would like to promote and to make more visible social work education, because we have lack of visibility of this education. And I'm proud that we have such examples in the world, like Brown School. It's a very beautiful place to learn social work and to have a name and in like School of Social Work. And I hope we also could open something like that, or to do branch of such school, like Brown School, for example, in my country. It's just dream, but it's nothing to, how to say, no one, you no need permission from someone to dream about, yeah. And what we shall say, and social work and CDA, what kind of gaps? Because as I mentioned, it's a part of social welfare, because government and president trying to provide a responsibility for future generation and to help them at least to go to education, for example, and to use this money for housing. It's even enough for pay for 2 years for housing, and if you, for example, get the education as a grant from the government. And what we are missing here, like a next step, to involve in national law, the national definition of social work, which would help us also promote social work education. And we were trying to advocate last years, since we established 5 years ago, we advocating that we need to involve in our legislation this term, because now before we used legislation which is more than 15 years. And the definition of social work should be, and also we did a draft of national standards of supervision, but I hope we could also develop that, because to help people who is now in work, in parasocial worker, people who doing function of social work, to help them to keep in profession. And here also like one suggestion, probably to be in touch with your community of staff, with the students. Let's do some podcast or something like that to attract people to profession, or to try to keep students in profession. Yeah, not to choose another choice, which is not good for us. We want to keep people in profession, and also to provide understanding of social work as a global critical work profession, because no one knows dream about social work as a global profession, but people want to travel. Yeah, I finished. People want to travel, but this global professional could help people to travel, because it's helped me to travel a lot, and for example, attend at least 20 countries. And what is also focus, the next one, yesterday we had a very great and brilliant day. Thank you, Professor Lee, thank you, Aytakin, Professor Sheridan, because we learned a lot about social work in the schools and the social work profile in child, and we want to promote the core social worker and prison social work in my country, and even in probation. And I think it's because CDA is promotion right of education, and this is why we need as a next step to promote school social worker to reach CDA goals. And this is what we are trying to do to invite a lot more people in this profession. And this is our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our email, and even we established a YouTube channel. Not a lot of subscribers, but we have almost 3,000 probably. And let's be in touch. Thank you very much for your passions, audience, and interest for our event, and hope that we could send more students of social work in Brown School then to expand diversity of English regards for my country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Yessimova.